All right, now here's another kind of example of how we use composing functions by adding and subtracting them. Um, but we use it to find like a value of the composed function, right? And so there's two ways to do this. And I'm going to concentrate mostly on one way. I will show you the second way when I'm done with this, but we would like you to do it this first way because it helps reinforce the skill of adding and subtracting polynomials that everybody needs to work on. All right, so it says, given that p of x is this x squared minus 5x plus 2 and q of x is 3x minus 2, find p minus q of 2. So what they're saying, first of all, is we're going to find p minus q of x. All right, so we're gonna do what we just did in the past video, and we're gonna take our p of, sorry, I'll write this out. So we're gonna take our p of x, and then we're gonna subtract q of x from it. Okay, so we're basically gonna write this out, and then we're gonna subtract that from it. So we're gonna go x squared minus 5x plus 2, and put that in parentheses for the time being, minus 3x minus 2. Okay, so we can drop the parentheses on this one right here. And then let's distribute this to both of these, right? So this becomes negative 3x. Then we have a minus, so that becomes plus 2, right? Pretty sweet. And now what we're going to do is combine what we can combine. So we have x squared stays x squared. We can combine these two guys and get negative 8x. And then you add 2 and 2 together, right? You got plus 2 and plus 2, and that gives you plus 4. And so this is my combined function of, I keep wanting to use f. I keep forgetting that we're using p's and q's, not f. So this is my combined function, right? And so now if I were going to find p minus q of 2, right, I'm going to substitute 2 in wherever you see x. So that means I'm going to have 2 right here, because there's an x here. I'm going to square that. So wherever you see x, we're putting a 2. I'll put my 2 right in here, and I like to use the parentheses because I feel that that reinforces that we're substituting that in and helps to keep us being a little more careful, right? So 2 squared is 4, and then minus 16, and then plus 4. Okay, so we can do this a couple different ways. We could add our 4's together, but let's just go left to right. So 4 minus 16 is negative 12 plus 4, and then when you add 4 to negative 12, you get negative 8. So this is what we get for p minus q of 2. We get negative 8. Now, there's another way to do this, okay? And I would suggest using this to check your answer. Right, and I don't know if this is easier or harder. I think it's honestly about the same amount of work as doing it this way, but it is another way where if the other one is just way too confusing for you, you can always try this. All right, so if I know that I have p minus q of 2, right, and we're looking for that, well, that's the same thing as p of 2 minus q of 2. So what we can actually do is we can take this and we can substitute that into this first equation here, and then subtract from it what you get when you substitute 2 into our q, right? So what you get is you get this 2 squared minus 5 times 2, right? So we have this minus 5 times 2 plus 2. So this part of it right here, and I'm going to use the brackets, minus, and now do the same thing with your q. Right? Q is 3x minus 2, so you go 3 times 2 minus 2. And then simplify them both, then subtract them. So this gives you 4 minus 10 plus 2. 2 squared is 4, right? 4 minus 10 is negative 6, and negative 6 plus 2 gives you negative 4. So we're going to take this and move this down a little lower. So that's what we get for this, and then minus, right? So this is what we have. And then you got 6, 3 times 2 is 6, minus 2 is 4. So we have negative 4 minus 4, which is negative 8. So you can see that they both will get you to the same place. We would like you to do this first method instead, just because it's going to help you get better and stronger at composing these things and adding and subtracting like terms and doing all that. And that's really important, right? We have to be able to do that. Okay, so now let's look at an example with a graph. Okay, and you might look at this and say, well, how am I supposed to figure this out? Well, just think about what this is saying. Find f plus g of 1. So what that means when I'm asking you this is distribute it, right? You get f of negative 1 plus g of negative 1. Well, the thing is, we know how to find a function value with a graph. You just go to that value for x, because this is your input, and see what your output is. So this is my f of x right here. So go to where negative 1 is. So negative 1's right here. I'm going to go up here, and this is my y value, or my f of x value, right? Is 2, right? Because it's the point negative 1, 2. So that is the value we're looking for. So this is 2. And then g of negative 1, well, g of x is this. If you go over to negative 1 for your x, it puts you right here. Well, that's the point, negative 1, 0. So it would be 2 plus 0, which the last time I checked is 2. And really, that's pretty simple, right? You can see that you're taking the values from the same thing because they line up, right? They're both lined up along that x is equal to negative 1 line. Okay, so that's how you can kind of look at it visually and see that you're doing it correctly. And honestly, that's all there is to this. So breaking this up for you guys. So we'll work on these skills today. And then when we come back on the next lesson, we'll talk about multiplying and dividing with these functions. All right, so have fun with this, and thanks for watching.